Lamar Jackson, aka Big Trust, is the 2019 NFL MVP. And I mean, at this point, how can you not say Lamar Jackson is not the MVP? How can you not? Lamar Jackson is having a special season. A special season that people will remember for years to come. And when you look at the past NFL MVPs, other than being the most valuable player, I think something that people seem to forget about the past MVP winners and what makes an NFL MVP is the kind of season that the player had. Players that win NFL MVP just don't put up crazy numbers, but they have a special season. A season that people will talk about years down the road. Lamar Jackson is having that kind of season. Patrick Mahomes last year had that kind of season. Cam Newton in 2015 had that season. The year Adrian Peterson won NFL MVP had that kind of season. A special season. That's what defines an NFL MVP to me. It's not about what you do when you have a bad offensive line or not having the best time around. It's the kind of season that you have as well. All those other things vary in. But I think the most important thing about the MVP award is the kind of season that that player had. What stood out? What separated that player from the rest of all the other MVP candidates? And could you tell the story of that season without that player? And in my perspective, you cannot tell the story of the 2019 NFL season without Lamar Jackson. You can't. And 2018, you couldn't talk about the 2018 season without talking about Patrick Mahomes. I think, to me, that's what defines an NFL MVP. Can you tell the story of that season without mentioning that player? So when we look at Lamar Jackson's stats in 2019 so far, up to week 11, 2,258 passing yards, 19 passing touchdowns, only 5 interceptions, completing 66.3% of his passes with a 77.8 quarterback rating. He has 781 rushing yards and 6 rushing touchdowns. Now, a lot of people say that Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are ahead of Lamar Jackson, and I can't get mad. I understand why, but I don't agree. And the reason why I don't agree is because although those guys might have better passing numbers, they're not doing what Lamar Jackson is doing running the football. And it's not all about passing. It's not all about having the big 50-yard touchdown season. It's not about leading the NFL in passing yards. What separates Lamar Jackson and Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson? All I see every week is Lamar Jackson trending, making a play, separating himself. All people have been talking about is Lamar Jackson. And that goes back to my point that I made earlier. Can you tell the story of the 2019 season when it's all said and done without mentioning Lamar Jackson? Years down the road, Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson are having great seasons. But years down the road, nobody's going to be talking about what Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson did in 2019. Years down the road, people like myself, I'm going to be telling my grandkids about Lamar Jackson's 2019 season. That's what I'm going to be talking about. Lamar Jackson is having a one-of-a-kind season. He's on pace to have 3,500 passing yards and over 1,000 rushing yards. Something that has never been done in all my years watching football. I don't know if it's ever been a quarterback to do that. Lamar Jackson has not only revolutionized the NFL, but he's beaten 2 MVP candidates that people for some reason still keep putting ahead of him. He's beat Deshaun Watson. He outplayed Deshaun Watson. He outplayed Russell Wilson. And he beat Seattle. His team beat Seattle. So he's 2-0 versus MVP candidates. And he beat New England. His team beat New England. He's beating some of the best teams in the NFL. And if he beats the San Francisco 49ers next week, you most definitely have to give him the MVP award. Now, a lot of people don't want to give it to him because he doesn't have the best passing numbers and things like that. Let's compare Lamar Jackson's season right now to Cam Newton's 2015 season, the year Cam Newton won NFL MVP. Now, what I did was I compared both of their seasons up to the same point of the season. So both of their stats being reflected are from week 11 of the respective season. So for Cam Newton, his stats are the 2015 season up to week 11, and Lamar Jackson is up to the current week of the NFL, going into week 12 after his week 11 game. So both of these stats are reflected off the same point of the season, so we can get an accurate depiction of how Cam Newton won NFL MVP and look at their numbers. And their numbers aren't really that far apart when it comes to throwing the football. Cam Newton has a couple of more passing yards than Lamar Jackson, 2,466 passing yards at that point of the season, has one more touchdown, has 9 receptions compared to Lamar Jackson's 5 receptions, and is completed 57.8% of his passes with a 67 QBR rating, and had 427 rushing yards and 7 rushing touchdowns at that point of the season. We look at Lamar Jackson's stats. You can say that Lamar Jackson, although his passing numbers are a little bit below Cam Newton just by a tad, Lamar Jackson is a more efficient passer than Cam Newton. From Cam Newton's MVP season to Lamar Jackson's current season, Lamar Jackson is a more efficient passer. You can see it in the completion percentage and the quarterback rating. Lamar Jackson his season is a more efficient season than Cam Newton's. Now, at the end of the season, Cam Newton ended up tossing 3,800 passing yards. He had 35 touchdowns, only 10 picks. But Lamar Jackson is going to have 3,500 passing yards. He's going to have 30 touchdowns. He's only going to have 9 interceptions. And he's going to have over 1,000 yards rushing. So, Lamar Jackson, what he's doing is special. And a lot of people don't want to give Lamar Jackson the MVP award because of the passing yards and things like that. Look, Cam Newton didn't have 4,000 yards passing when he won NFL MVP in 2015. He didn't have 50 passing touchdowns like a Patrick Mahomes. He had 35 passing touchdowns, which is impressive. But the reason why Cam Newton won NFL MVP that year was because you couldn't tell the story of the 2015 season without mentioning Cam Newton. Every week, Cam Newton was going viral for a game-defining play every single week. We saw the same thing with Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes he had the no-look pass. He had the pass with his left hand on Monday Night Football. Patrick Mahomes was special. He was making special plays every week. All you were talking about for that whole entire week was, look at that pass. Look at that play that Patrick Mahomes made. 2015, all you were talking about was what Cam Newton did. What game-defining play that Cam Newton did that was being talked about the whole entire week. That's the same thing with Lamar Jackson. Every week he's making a game-defining play that gets talked about for the whole entire week. Then, when game day comes, he makes another play that gets talked about for the whole entire week. You don't hear that with a Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. They're having great seasons, but they're not having special seasons. Listen, I'm not trying to take anything away from Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. They're having great seasons. But 30 years down the road, when you look back at 2019, you're not going to be telling your kids or your grandkids about the seasons that Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson had in 2019. You're going to be telling your kids or your grandkids or whoever about what Lamar Jackson did in 2019. That's, in my opinion, what separates Lamar Jackson from Deshaun Watson, from Russell Wilson, from a Christian McCaffrey. All those guys are having phenomenal seasons. But Lamar Jackson is having a special season. And when you look at the guys who have won NFL MVP over the past couple of seasons, they had special seasons. Patrick Mahomes had a special season last year. Matt Ryan, when he won NFL MVP a couple years back, had a special season for the Atlanta Falcons. Cam Newton in 2015 had a special season. Adrian Peterson in 2012 had a special season. It's not all about the stats. It's not all about the wins. It's about how special was your performance that season. And can you tell the story of that season without mentioning that player? And I know it sounds repetitive, but I just want to prove home my point. Is that Lamar Jackson is having a season that we are going to remember for a very, very long time. Nobody's going to forget the season that Lamar Jackson is having, because he's going to change the game. He's going to be the only quarterback to have 3,500 passing yards and over 1,000 yards rushing in NFL history. That's something that's going to go down in the record books. That's something that people are going to remember for the rest of the NFL's existence. Over the last 100 years that the NFL has been around, no quarterback has done what Lamar Jackson is doing. And I know a lot of people are going to be like Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, but look, in 5 years, nobody's going to remember Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson when it comes to what they did in 2019. All people are going to do is they're going to remember that they had a great season, but nothing special. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Russell Wilson or anybody. I'm just saying that Lamar Jackson's season is going to be something that we remember for the rest of our lives. Because this is something that has never been done before. And what kind of season Lamar Jackson is having is something that I will remember, you guys will remember, and the rest of you guys watching will remember for the rest of your lives. Lamar Jackson is having a special season. And that's what separates him from Deshaun Watson and Russell Wilson. Not only did he beat both those guys head to head, but he's making game-defining plays. And you cannot tell the story of the 2019 NFL season without Lamar Jackson. And that's why Lamar Jackson, in my opinion, is a 2019 NFL MVP. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more NFL videos and content. And thanks for watching.